So hello everyone. I asked in my previous video if you guys would like to see some sort of beginner guide for Arrow 2 now that the beta map is released, and a lot of you guys did ask for one. So I decided to go ahead and actually record this video, but for a while I was writing the script for this intro segment, and I just realized how much there is to learn for this game. So I'll be cutting this into multiple videos for a playlist, hopefully. So in this video, I'll only be going over the basics and what you should do for the first time when you join the game. I'll be cutting these videos into chapters as well, so you can just skip over parts that you don't want to watch. I'm just going to keep this intro brief, so let's just get right into it. Now before I even click play, there's already a few things I gotta do first. I highly recommend new players to go into these settings and change almost everything here for a few reasons. So for the keybinds, I'll put it bluntly, the default keybinds for this game are just terrible. I recommend rebinding them how I'm doing it right now in the video, similar to how its old controls were back then. I'm way more familiar with it, and I think you guys will probably feel the same way instead of clicking all over the place on your keyboard to just open the inventory or use the map or chat and change the chat type. It's really all over the place. I also recommend some settings here like toggling aim down sights, because this gives you more control over your mouse when you're in combat, which could give you an advantage. This might take a little getting used to, but in my experience, I have a much easier time in FPS games in general just with this setting alone. You probably won't also get the mouse sensitivity correct for the first time, but I recommend first thing is that you also turn this all the way up for aiming. By default, it's incredibly slow, and you're probably going to lose your first fight in combat because it's going to feel like you're playing in slow motion. Just when you're in game and over time, you're going to want to adjust this. It might take a while to find what's the best setting for you, but eventually you're going to find that sweet spot. I wouldn't recommend copying exactly what I'm doing here because it'll probably be too fast for you. Even if you forget the controls after changing them, it's okay because a lot of them are already displayed in the corners of your screen here as a guide. Eventually, as you play the game more, you already know these well enough on the back of your head, so you can just turn them off in the settings. Now with the keybinds out of the way, there's the sounds, and there's going to be a few things that you're going to want to change here too. First thing, I would turn off the ambience. Yeah, you might lose some of the atmosphere that this game has to offer, but more often than not, it really does get in the way when you're in combat. Especially when you need to listen for distant or quiet things like player sounds, doors, vehicles, things like that. The ambience just might wash it out for you entirely, even if you have a headset. And some of the new ambient sounds also does have a static background, which personally annoys me, so I just turn it off completely. Everything else you can just leave as is, because it doesn't really affect gameplay. Music only plays in the menu and after you die. It's not copyrighted to my knowledge, I can use these in my videos perfectly fine, so if you're going to record something, you're pretty much good to go. Infected sounds were also changed, so now their vocals are muted, but the footsteps are still heard. If you want to turn this off and have the zombies jump scare you, then be my guest. There are some people that I know that do this for a combat advantage, but probably for you it's going to make you think that someone's sneaking up on you when actually it's just a zombie. So for the camera settings, just turn the FOV sliders all the way up. This just gives you a wider field of view, so you'll see things you otherwise wouldn't with the default settings. On character, the only important things here for gameplay are the automatic vaulting and ladders. These can get you killed in ways that you probably would never expect. If you turn these off, this just means that you either have to hold space or jump near a ledge to vault, or you need to click on ladders now. But just quick disclaimer, even with automatic vaulting turned off, it sometimes still happens when you don't want it to. It's kind of annoying and something you're just going to have to learn how to avoid occurring when it matters the most. Everything else here I just keep as a default. I don't really know what aim view changing or action auto zooming even does, even with looking it up. If someone does know what these do, then they'll probably just tell you in the comments. But from my experience changing these, it doesn't really seem like it does have an impact. Now what's most important here is the quality. Regardless of what computer you have, whether it's a potato or a NASA computer, this game does put Roblox to its limits, so there's going to be FPS drops left and right. You're probably going to think since you have a good PC and it's Roblox, you're going to be able to set everything to high. No, that's not going to be how it works. Roblox itself has limits which bottlenecks you, so unfortunately if you want to have decent and consistent FPS above 60, you're going to have to downgrade the quality a bit. So here's what I recommend for most people with decent computers. Keep animations, world quality, and impact particles how they are, but put lighting quality down to medium. When lighting quality is set anything above this, the game takes a noticeable performance hit. If you have a lower end PC, then I'd suggest just putting everything down to low besides impact particles, since these do give you subtle hints to where you're being shot at from, for example. Now with the accessibility settings, these are mostly up to your preferences and should be self-explanatory. Items section here just means how many pixels you need to drag something into the inventory and the delay until it shows you the item info that you're hovering over. Interact dots and highlights I would keep on because it's just a feedback when you hover over an item or a lootable spot. Controls and indicators I just leave on for you right now because this does give you important information if you don't know the keybinds, for example. What I would personally change here is the crosshair. I keep it static because I'll be blunt again, the crosshair in this game just sucks. It's way too wide and sometimes it's deceiving for how much spread your weapon has. When it's set to dynamic, it'll bounce around, which makes it even more wide, and you'll just likely lose where exactly the center of the screen is, which is where you want to shoot your target in combat. You could just turn this off and use your own crosshair program, but it's frowned upon by some people, and some programs might be blocked by Roblox's anti-cheat because it might think you're using hacks when you're not. I personally don't care for using another crosshair. I really don't think it's an issue, nor is it considered cheating by AR2 staff to my knowledge. It's like people using FPS unlockers before it was a built-in feature. I hope they do an update soon that revamps the crosshair because it's just really outdated. And it's been proven by other games like Bad Business that you are capable of having extensive customizable crosshairs in Roblox. Now the last one here is the debug settings. I just keep ping, frame rate, and server age enabled. This just shows you your current ping, FPS, and the server age. Ping is pretty important because it just shows how much lag is in the server you're in. If the server is pretty old and unstable, then expect frequent lag spikes. Or maybe you're in the wrong region. You could be in a European server when actually you're in a gated community in the States. Come on, I know you guys will, don't pretend you're not. If ping really does become an issue for you, then I just check your own internet to see if it's slow or maybe the servers are just bad when you're playing. Anyways, I just keep memory turned off since most people won't understand the numbers here unless you're a developer. And client age just shows how long you've been in a server. I doubt you want to see this unless you really want to brag to your friends how you've been playing for 6 hours straight, which in that case, more power to you, and maybe shine some sunlight into your room. Now that's everything you should do before you even start the game. With character customization, you can pretty much figure that out on your own within 20 seconds. I'm going to assume that you're completely new to the game, so there's not really much you can customize anyways. What I will say though is you should totally put on an afro and make it blonde here, like I have here. With all that out of the way, let's actually load into the game. I'll play 1 or 2 runs here, and I'll show you what to expect on your first couple playthroughs. Okay, I'm spawned in now, and immediately the first thing I do is check my map. I'm not familiar with the layout of the new map yet, so I check where I am and any nearby locations that could give me some good loot. Generally speaking, the type of loot correlates to where you're looting, so if you go to a house for example, expect some food in the kitchen, clothes in the closets, and civilian weapon in a safe or gun case if it has it. The progression of loot is pretty straightforward. The outer 2 islands don't provide the best of gear for you in the beginning, and it's where everyone usually spawns when they're fresh, so expect some fighting between people who have scraps with nothing to lose. Since you just spawned in, you shouldn't play so timidly. If there's one thing you take away from this video, it should be that dying is part of the game. The loot you have isn't permanent and you will eventually die, whether it's by your own mistakes, exploiters, or something you could have seen coming. Don't get too annoyed if you die in the beginning, since getting this type of loot isn't really that hard, especially since you just spawned in and you'll be back on the map within a few seconds. Trust me, the biggest mistake I see people do in this game is they play so defensively that they don't leave room for themselves to make risky plays that could otherwise win them fights. You can learn what you can and cannot do as you play, so take this as a learning experience that'll help you get better over time. Now as you loot and explore parts of the map, you'll want to keep a mental note of where all the good stuff spawns. While the civilian buildings might not have the best of loot, places with military or Soviet presence will generally have better gear for you. If you're unsure if a weapon is better than what you currently have, hover over the inventory and it'll compare the stats between what's on the ground versus your currently equipped weapon. A good rule of thumb is that if there's a lot of red, then it generally means that the weapon you could swap out is going to be pretty bad. If it's all green, then I'd say go for it. Anyway, since you're a fresh spawn with only a snubnose, any weapon at this point is good, even if it's bad compared to the other things you can find. The snubnose is the worst weapon in the game, stat-wise. You're meant to replace it as soon as possible, so don't get too worried if you drop it on accident, thinking that you just made a mistake. Now, one thing you might notice me do is that I do this with my melee. This is something I learned by myself, which I think not many people might know about in this game so far. Typically, how you want to handle zombies is that you don't shoot them. Otherwise, you're going to reveal yourself like this guy right here, who's currently shooting zombies down there. Instead, you're going to want to hit them with your melee, but because of how slow the default melee is like this, it's going to be pretty hard, especially if you don't know how the zombie mechanics work here. It doesn't seem like they'll be that dangerous, but that's just only because I know how the zombies work. Typically, a new player is just going to stand right here and just let the zombie hit them like that. So what you're going to want to do, instead of just using this, if you ever played Left 4 Dead and you sort of know the mechanics of that game with the melees, it's sort of similar to that. So here it's kind of the same. It's just you're going to want to unequip and re-equip the melee as soon as you hear the hit sound like this. And you can hit them really fast. So for example, I'll do it like this. And that was a lot faster than just normally hitting them 3 times like that. So when you do get hit by a zombie, I recommend that you don't heal with the bandage, since these are kind of valuable unless you have maybe like 9 or 10 or more. If you use something like food and it will replenish more than enough energy right here, it will actually heal you a bit, and it'll be enough for you to actually heal back the health that you just lost from that zombie. So now I should be good. You can do this as many times as you want. It's just going to be a little tricky if you don't have any actual heals on your character, because it does take a while, I think maybe 40 seconds or so before your energy starts to go down again. So you're going to want to keep some spare bandages and medkits behind like this. I almost forgot too, I highly recommend that you get rid of the flashlight, because in my experience, the flashlight really isn't that important, to be honest. It's supposed to help you when the game is too dark, but to be honest, I think if you just have your brightness up enough in this game, it's not going to really be that impactful. Like, it's nighttime right now, and I don't really need a flashlight. I could perfectly see everything fine, even in the dark. It's just when you turn on your flashlight, it'll look like this on your screen. It'll kind of increase the gamma, but it's not going to be really that good for you, to be honest. And also the light kind of reveals your location. So if you're hiding behind a wall like this, for example, and you have your flashlight on, someone can easily see that you're just right behind here, and it's going to reveal your location. And I think currently that the bug with flashlights are still in the game, where if you enable it for some reason, at some point during gameplay, your character is going to have it on permanently. It's kind of weird how it works. Other people will basically see you have a flashlight on you, even if it's not on your screen. So you won't even know that this bug is really occurring to you. So what I recommend is just as soon as you spawn in, you just get rid of the flashlights. It's really not that good of a utility anyways. And likely if you get further into the end game, you're going to have to replace it anyways, because all the utilities that you're going to get. Anyways, like I said before, you're going to want to keep a mental note of where the good spawns are for some of these areas. So at regional, for example, there's going to be some light military presence. So there's going to be things like this, where you can get maybe some cosmetics, you can get utilities, you get a weapon like right here. I'm going to take this for the ammo. And generally in these crates, you can get weapons like the M16A2, you can get the M40. On very rare occasions, you can get the M249, which is just a light machine gun, if you don't know any of the weapons, which is maybe one of the better weapon classes in the game, because it has a lot of ammo, and it has similar stats to machine guns. It's just some of these weapon classes do have downsides to them, like the LMGs are pretty slow with their ADS speed and equip speed. So you're going to want to keep note of just the stats on these weapons, since some of them, like the ADS speed and everything, aren't really displayed in the, I don't know what you call it, it's like the little stats section right here when you hover over something. So I guess we have our first PvP encounter right here. There is a guy who I don't think notices us. Maybe he does. I think he just looked back right there. So I'm just going to play like a noob would do. See, he doesn't even recognize me right here. He doesn't want me to kill him, which, okay, maybe I shouldn't. But typically, if you ever seen that one retro APOC 1 ad where the guy gets killed over the beans, that's typically what happens in this game when you're nice to people. They just kind of backstab you. Here, I'm just going to pretend that I'm just going to leave him alone. And maybe he's going to shoot me in the back, maybe not. But typically when you see people like that, I would just shoot them more often than not, because they will eventually just catch up to you and they might just shoot you when you're not expecting it. Now, when you do start running out of energy and hydration and you really haven't found any parts of the map that does have these food or water items, you do spawn with beans and an energy drink right here, so that you can just easily get. So you won't have to immediately search for food. It doesn't work that way. And also you already start with energy and hydration at full. So here I've just found a better secondary, I think, to my knowledge. No, actually no. I'm gonna just drop that on the ground. You're gonna want to keep note again of just the stats on these weapons. It does seem like it's better because of the better damage, but to be honest, damage really isn't everything when it comes to weapons. There's a lot of factors that goes into them. So when you see the stats for the first time, you might think, oh, the shotguns and snipers are the best weapons in the game because of the damage. No, the shotguns are actually maybe one of the worst weapon classes in the game due to just how random the spread is and just how unreliable it is in general. You just learn little things like this as you play. It's really no big deal if you pick up a bad weapon and you don't know about it and then you die with it. Take it as a learning experience, like I said before. So anyways, there's an AFK play right here. So let's just say that this guy didn't know I was here in this PvP situation. So typically what I see new players do is that they're out in the open right here and they just have their gun out and they just try to shoot the guy, just ADS like this. It really doesn't work that way. Because, well, first of all, the hipfire is pretty bad on this weapon. I think it's about 59% hipfire accuracy. I don't know how the accuracy is defined in this game, whether it's from like spread in angle degrees or not. It's just kind of something that you kind of learn as you go. Again, I would say that they're just like kind of rough indicators of just how to expect the hipfire. But the aim accuracy, it looks like it's pretty good. So 96%, 97 right here on my pistol. So when you do ADS right here, you'll see that if I aim for the head, it will actually hit him in the head and it will do headshot damage. The headshots do bonus damage if you don't see right here. The max damage is just a headshot and it shows the damage range with it. So the minimum damage range would be nearly 500 studs, which might be maybe around there. But to be honest, you're probably not gonna be able to hit someone from right there because of the iron sights are pretty blocky and also the velocity is pretty bad. What I also see new players do is that they are out in the open right here and they immediately see someone and they think, oh, he doesn't notice me, maybe I can actually kill him really fast. And you're just kind of out in the open right here and it just turns out, well, if he turns around and you don't actually kill him in one shot, you're just out in the open right here and you have no cover. So if he turns around right here and he actually has a PKM or like a really good weapon that can kill me, I'm not going to get saved, not even by like this little bush right here. The bullets will just go through it. But typically what you want to do in these scenarios, ideally you want to hide behind something like a tree or a rock or maybe a building. So that way if they do turn around, let's say that you messed up or they had a booster the whole time so they didn't die when you bursted them, you at least have cover and you'll have time to just assess the situation and see what you can do now. So let's say that this guy was active and I did win this PvP scenario, so I'll just hit him again in the head. So since he's a fresh spawn, you're going to expect that he has the usual stuff when he's first spawning. So see, he has the beans, he has the drink, bandages. Some of these things are pretty useful for you, especially early on, because you will not have as many heals that I have right off the bat. And also you might have some use to the stemnose ammo right here. It does use 45 ACP, and there are a few civilian weapons that do use 45 ACP. Again, I'm not going to go too much in depth about the weapons right now in this video. I'll make a separate guide for that, since there are a lot of mechanics and just a lot of weapons in general for this game. So here we have another person right here. I think he did notice me and he most likely has better weapons than me. So I'm going to play this like maybe a typical noob would. I'm just going to run out in the open right here and just be oblivious to this guy. He's probably going to play exactly how I just explained it before, where he hides behind the house and he's probably going to hit me right here. Let's see what he does. Oh, he's just going to follow me around, I guess. So you do kind of hear his footsteps right here. I'll maybe just turn off the volume, the in-game volume. So and you don't hear any zombie noises if you don't have the zombies sounds turned off, then you're gonna probably just get ambushed like that by a player. So let me just full heal real quick. So let's say that I did just get started right there and I did have an opportunity to assess the situation and heal real quick. So I can turn around and just immediately start shooting him like this. He has an A2, which is a burst weapon, and it's just generally better than the current weapon I have right now. I really can't aim with this weapon. It's kind of bad because of the iron sights. And I'm starting to die of thirst. So you're going to want to keep a mental note of your energy and hydration, since if it does run out, you will start slowly dying. It's not going to completely kill you like it did back then. Right now, how it works is that it will leave you at, I think, 5 or 10 HP. So you'll just barely be alive. It's just kind of a thing that they added back then for new players, since a lot of them just died really fast to just hunger and the thirst mechanic. So unfortunately, he did kill me right there because my weapon really wasn't that bad and I wasn't able to heal. Maybe like the lower tier medical items here, like the bandage, you can see the use time. It takes 5 seconds to heal 25 HP. That's really not good in a combat situation, because these seconds do really mean a lot in some of these situations, where right there I could have maybe healed within a second with my red med kit or the military med kit, and I could have probably just turned around a lot faster and just maybe shot him a few times and scared him, and maybe I could have gotten to a rock to assess what was going to happen. Just things like that. Just again, take it as a learning experience. You'll probably just spawn at a better location anyways if you do die and you just don't really have anything good here. For me, I don't think that was a really strategical death, I guess you could say, because now I'm at a spot that doesn't really have any good weapons. Actually, I think I kind of lied right there. It was a strategical death, because not only did I get a weapon right here, I also got a better weapon in this tray right here. So this is the, let me see, the MAT 49. So the MAT 49, all you have to know about this is that it's a submachine gun. Submachine guns are, for the most part, automatic. I don't remember if there's any SMGs that are not, if they're burst or semi. But all you have to know is that the submachine guns early on, they're kind of bad for range, but automatics are just a must in a lot of these situations. Like that guy only had an A2. The A2, it's not really that good compared to automatic weapons, because it's a burst weapon. Its recoil control is kind of decent, I guess you could say. Its fire rate is kind of meh, and its damage, if you're not hitting headshots and you're just hitting body shots or limbs, it's not going to do that much damage to you. For automatic weapons, you really don't need to stress that much because, well, it's an automatic. It's automatically firing for you. You don't have to time your shots or anything unless you need more precise shot placements. You really don't have to worry about how you're aiming your shots unless you need to be more accurate or precise to hit someone in the head, for example, if you're going to get the cover in time. Typically, you're going to want to keep any automatic that you find, even if it's a civilian weapon like the MAT 49. You're not going to want to swap it out for something like a carbine or a DMR or maybe just a pretty bad civilian sniper like I think this guy has right here. Let me see what weapon he has. SKS, yeah, I guess you would consider it a DMR, or no, assault carbine. Well, it sort of plays like a DMR. You kind of understand what I mean. You're gonna not want to grab these over automatics for the most part if it's a civilian one. When you get to like more military weapons, like the M21 DMR, the M40, the L9, you might want to grab them because those weapons, they can 2-shot or 3-shot, kind of depending on their damage stats. They do a lot of damage if you aim for the head. But typically, since they did the weapon balance earlier this year, the bolt action weapons actually got changed. So now they actually cycle, like have a bolt animation and everything. The snipers do have a 2-shot damage potential. But the drawback is that since the bolt action is pretty slow, more often than not, you're not going to have the opportunity to basically 2-tap someone in the head with a sniper. Maybe if I find a sniper later on in the run, I can kind of demonstrate that. It's more supposed to be used as a support or utility weapon to help your team, but since I'm playing solo for this video, it's not going to really be that helpful. Maybe if you're really good with the sniper and you know the velocity and the lag compensation and everything, maybe it'll be more useful to you. But I'm going to assume you're not really familiar with the sniper since the stats for weapons are really all over the place and they all have different velocities. So you're going to have to really learn how to use those weapons, and I obviously don't have that right now. But if I do find a DMR or sniper, I can maybe demonstrate that better in detail. All you have to know is that snipers, I typically want to pick them up if you're a solo player because the only way you're going to kill someone with them is if they're standing still and they're not paying attention, or you're about to third party someone and they're already low health. So here I did run to what's called cargo shipwreck. It does have some military crates here, which is why I did come here, so I can possibly get a better weapon. This is a new location. It was in the drawing event, sort of as a teaser for the new map. I think a lot of the spawns for it changed for weapons, so I think just normally it's not going to really have that much for you. But there is still potential that there could be some good use here. How I typically play is that I won't usually just beeline it to one location anymore, because the alpha map you could really do that and then just find a good gun there and you'll be good to go. Here you really can't do that. There's sort of a progression for loot and just how you're going to play the game in general now. So since I spawned all the way at Smuggler Airship, I made my way from Mortar to Cargo Shipwreck. I should have maybe went to Coastal Bunkers because there is potential that I could have gotten an AK-47 or AKM there. I think maybe an RPK can spawn there to my memory. That would have been the smart move, so maybe you shouldn't have done what I did right there where I just completely abandoned it. But to be honest, it's kind of a missable location because of just how far out into the island it is. So typically you're going to want to progress basically all the way up towards the map. So I guess the next location here is that you can go to geothermal power plant or you can go to mansion. I wouldn't go here because there really isn't that many good spawns there. But at mansion there's going to be a lot of Soviet presence there. There's going to be Soviet zombies who can have SKSs, AK-47s, AK-74s, maybe an RPK as well, Dragunov, Scorpion, just everything that's related to like the Soviet weapons are going to spawn there. And along the way, you might notice that there's some random encounters here. Typically, I think right here in my last video, there was a guy with an ATV. I can't remember his official name, but it's an ATV Soviet zombie who drops the PP-19 Bison. Spawns like that are all over the map, not just the ATV guy. And they can have some pretty decent weapons, or they can have weapons that are exclusive to those events. This video, I'm not going to really go much into detail with it as well, sort of like the weapons. I'll make that its own video probably because there are a lot of unique spawns, and they did add a lot new ones as well for the beta maps. So the alpha ones, they're kind of remixed in their old locations along with new ones, and then there's new locations that are at the already new locations as well. So it's not really set in stone yet. People don't really know about it right now. I'm just going to wait until more information comes out about it and I play the game more until I fully grasp where these locations are. Alright, so I arrived at mansion. But instead of going through the dirt path right here, I'm actually going to flank from the side over here because there can be some people at these locations that are more well known like mansion. So you're going to want to be careful. So you don't want to just straight up walk into Ashland and then you might just get gunned down by a team of 5. It can be pretty dangerous when you go to these locations because there could already be someone there. But it doesn't look like anyone's here since all these zombies are spawned in. So I'm just going to go ahead and just melee all of them. I'm not going to shoot any of my guns because I don't want people to know that I'm here. And they're probably going to flock over here thinking that there's going to be combat when I'm not really suited for that yet. So this guy did have an AKS and it does mostly have more green than red. So I think I'm just going to grab that and drop the mat. Or actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the mat as my second primary. Because if you didn't know in this game, if it wasn't obvious enough, you can equip whatever you want in your inventory as long as it fits into the little grid inventory space right here. So this means you can have multiple primaries, like you can have a main assault rifle and then you can have a second sniper rifle for your primaries. And I think I'm going to have that solely because of the ammo situation here. So this ammo from the AKS, it is a rare ammo type, so I'm not going to find it out in the world. I need to go to very specific locations to find this ammo again. And right here, this does take the similar ammo right here, so I'm going to grab this because it's just way better than the stub nose revolver. It actually has better max damage. I didn't know that. That's really good for me, I guess. But I will keep that because it's a, I think a machine pistol in this. Oh no, it's actually a submachine gun. Yeah, secondary weapons can also be automatic, which their stats really aren't that good in comparison to their primary counterparts. Because it's a secondary weapon, you're meant to just take it out as a backup. Generally, I wouldn't open fights with the secondary because they, for the most part, a lot of them just have worse stats than the primary weapons, and they're not going to really be that good for most situations. The only times I would use a secondary is if I'm sneaking up on someone with, let's say, a deagle or a python. Those weapons have two-shot potential, and if they're just standing still looting, I can maybe just two-shot them, and I can save a lot of ammo on my primary if it's actually just a scarce resource. Typically, I wouldn't open like that, because if you do miss, you kind of already lost that PvP fight already. So you would really need to know what you're doing before you even start doing things like that. And here we have another melee. So this is the hatchet. The hatchet does have better damage than the pocket knife, which you spawn in. It's your starter knife. But like I said before with the equipping and re-equipping thing, you can't really do that with the hatchet because it's already slightly faster than the pocket knife. And also when I try to do it, the melee arc is kind of different. So let me try and demonstrate it here with the zombie outside. So because I put it over my head, it won't work. It won't really work that well. I'm missing more often than I'm actually hitting them, and it's not really working that well. What I typically do is I keep the pocket knife because I can easily just stab them like this really fast. The only times I would swap out the pocket knife if you find another knife, like let's say the chef knife or the combat knife, or you find something like the swords. So there's two swords in this game. It's called the katana and the USMC saber, I think its official name is, or you can just refer to it as a saber. You don't really have to say the full name like that. I don't know, that's kind of weird. But you can do that on the swords as well. It does work. It's just the only downside is that currently that the melees are broken. So the swords have a slashing attack, or they have an overhead attack, so like the hatchet. So if I'm in here and I use it against the zombie, let's say, it's going to be really hard because it's going to think that I'm hitting the roof right here, and that's not really what I'm doing. So you typically want to just like leave them outside right here and just hit them. It's probably not going to be a bug by the time you guys watch this in like a few months or so, if you are, or maybe longer, I don't know. But hopefully they do fix that or do like a melee update to just fix how broken the melees are in general. But here I found an actual rare event that I wasn't expecting. So behind, I guess, mansion right here is going to be a Soviet camp. And the Soviet camp has unique weapons that spawn in it now, which is going to be the Ventores or Groza. So judging by these stats, they look a lot better than what I currently have. So I think I'm going to swap it out for what I have here. I'm just going to take out the map because it's not really useful anymore to me. In here we have an unique suppressor called the Soviet Spetsnaz suppressor. So if you look at the bottom, it's going to have green and red pros and cons basically. So it removes the bullet tracers when you're firing. Basically the enemy's not going to know where you're firing from. They can still hear the gunshot, so they're going to generally know the location of where you're shooting from. It's going to have a moderate decrease to recoil, so this does help with recoil control on most weapons, but it does have the downside of having slight decrease the aim speed. So if you have a weapon that you kind of just want to do trick shots with, like a DMR, or maybe you have an LMG, it's going to be a lot worse. But I think it's going to be kind of negligible, to be honest. You're not going to really notice it, so I think I'm just going to keep it right there. And since I can't put it on the Ventores here, that's actually a DMR, or a marksman rifle, I guess. It already has a built-in suppressor, so I can't use it here. The only weapon it does seem like I can use it on is the AKS or the Groza. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it on the AKS, since that is my second primary, I guess you could say, or maybe my first primary. And since the Ventores and Groza are unique here, they have their own ammo called the 9mm subsonic ammo. So I'm going to grab that for it, and also the mags here. You're not going to want to forget any of this because I see a lot of new players just grab a new weapon here like this, a really good weapon in the game, and then they just forget to pick up the mags for it, so they can only maybe use it once before they run out. And you're going to start to notice that I'm running out of inventory space here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get rid of the AO, because the AO is kind of worse than the Groza, to be honest, damage wise and with the damage range. And I kind of want to use the Groza because I haven't really used it yet. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out all the mags into these little ammo boxes for two reasons. The AO mag stores 21 bullets while the box here stores 30. So that's already a good plus. I can save a lot of space with these ammo boxes. And two, there is a utility in the game called the rifle reloading kit, and if I have that and I get these bullets into the mags, it's actually going to be a lot faster than having it from mag to mag, since this isn't really considered a rifle. It's not really noted here either, but the Ventores does take these ASFAL mags. So the ASFAL, Ventores, and the Groza all take the same mag type, you're going to notice that some weapons do take the same mags, but it's kind of not really noted here because I think they just forgot. You're going to want to keep note of that because there are some weapons that just spawn with really bad mag sizes like this. It takes maybe 10 mags on my Venturas when I could just easily swap it to a 20, and this is going to be a lot more useful for me in combat. And now I'm starting to notice I'm really running out of space here because I don't have a really good backpack. So in this case, you're going to want to really start to take note of this. If you hoard too much stuff, like right here, maybe I should get rid of these 2 small med kits, but if I do, I'm not going to really have that many more meds into combat because backpacks can be pretty scarce here sometimes. The max bag limit is 56, I think, and I have 40. So it'll be maybe around here, and I could have a lot more space. I can maybe store another weapon. I could have a lot more mags. I have a lot more med kits. It's just, you're going to want to find better backpack. It's sort of like the progression of going up towards the island and just getting better weapons. It's sort of like that. So here I'm just going to swap out the bandages for the small med kits because these do take slightly longer, but they heal a lot more of my health. For just in compensation of that. And here I actually found an optic, which I didn't really see before. So this is called the Soviet reflex sight, or maybe if you want to get more nerdy about it, it's the OKP7. If I use it right now, it's going to look like this. So when you have optics on, it does replace your iron sights, and for the most part, I think they increase your aim speed slightly. So if you do notice, it is kind of slightly faster. But if I take it off right now, it's going to be slightly slower and I have to use the iron sights. Generally, I don't like the iron sights in this game because they're really chunky, most of them. And also, they're not really that useful for just long range for the most part because, again, so chunky. I prefer having an optic because it's just a clear sight picture right here. You can have just, I guess, right here, the little arrow, or you can have a cross, I think, or a dot instead. And it's going to be a lot more useful for you because those are small enough for you to see like who you're shooting. Sometimes the iron sights can get in the way where if I do this, let's say, for example, maybe I can kind of demonstrate here. You're not going to see anyone who's below my weapon. So let's say there's a guy right here by this bush and I aim this high. I'm not going to see him behind my weapon because it's blocking it. But if I have the optic though, I can see him perfectly fine if I aim like this. So now that I looted that and mansion, I'm actually really close to the endgame island here called Ferris Island and at one of the new locations called Magnolia, which is one of the best locations in the game. And right here, it seems like that this is a military helicopter crash, so I think I'm going to loot that as well before I actually do get into Magnolia. So right here, what's different from the Soviet camp is that these spawn sort of NATO weapons, so these would include the M16s, the 7.62 weapons, like right here this guy has a G3 which takes 7.62 ammo. This guy has an A2 as well. I should probably eat this to food heal real quick since that did do a lot of damage to me. And you can have special zombies like this who has a cosmetic. Yep, right on time. And he did right there drop a military medkit for me, which does heal my full health and actually takes a little less longer to use than the small medkit. So I think I'm going to swap that out for that. And here there's another one on the ground. And I hear another zombie. You're going to hear them with the gas masks on. It's kind of a weird gimmick that they have. And here this guy dropped an Uzi, which is sort of similar to the Groza as being an automatic secondary. But I'm not going to take it because it does look like it has more red on it. And I really don't like the Uzi, to be honest. So I'm going to search this real quick to see maybe if I can get something like a better backpack or attachments or maybe something like that. So here we go, we have the military field dressing, which is just a direct upgrade from the regular bandage. So then I'm just going to take that and replace my VSS max because I don't really need those 13 bullets, to be honest. I'm going to try and find a way to store these right here. I'm just going to get rid of this. I don't really need that much AKS ammo, to be honest. Oh, and here, right here, we have a FAL in the military operator crate. Sometimes weapons do spawn in these cases. They are sometimes around the map more than just in these random events right here. I'm not going to grab this because it doesn't really have that much ammo, to be honest, but it does have significantly better stats than what I have with the AKS. I would pick this up in an ideal situation because it's just a direct upgrade from the AKS, obviously, with the stats, but it doesn't seem like there's that much ammo here. And I have a ton of ammo for the AKS, which I think I'm more confident with, because if I run out of ammo with the FAL, I'm kind of just going to be dead in a fight, because I would have to rely on my Venturas and my Groza, which I'm not really confident with, because the Groza is a secondary weapon, and the Venturas is sort of a DMR. So we do have shots back there. It sounds like a suppressed M4 or XM. I'm going to want to be careful, because those guys could actually come up here, because there is an incentive to come over here, because Magnolia is the best location in the game, generally speaking. So the gimmick with Magnolia is that it's more of a PvP location than a looting spot. So there's going to be a lot of ways that you can go up here. So let's say I wanted to go up here because I see a guy in that building right there. And there is a spot, I think, up here on the roof that I can just shoot him out of. Yep, right here. Well, let's say he's not right there. He's actually right there, let's say. So I can actually just pop out the window right here, and I can actually just start shooting him right here if he's actually on that building, which I don't think is accessible. Maybe not a good example, but you kind of get what I mean here. There's a lot of places that you can camp. You can go on rooftops, you can go inside these buildings. There's, I think, some underground portions here. You're going to want to keep note of where these are, because if you do get caught out in a place that you're just not really that familiar with, you're just most guaranteed to die, which you don't want, generally speaking, in this game. You don't really want to die that often because it's not really that fun. Now, it's not to say that Magnolia is just entirely PvP only. There is some spots that you can loot, like right here, the military tents. There's a gun store that direction. This spot right here, I think it's like the broadcast building. I don't really know what you call it. It does have some spawns for weapons and attachments, which you can try out. And then right here, there's a little, I guess, docking area with military weapons here, or attachments, or millimeds, or just way better stuff is what I'm trying to get at here. Which I'm going to try and actually loot right now first, because I do need a better backpack and maybe some more meds. And hopefully there's not anyone here. It doesn't seem like anyone's here because zombies are still spawned in. That's another thing. You're going to want to keep an eye out on just subtle things in the map. So let's say if I came over here and there's just dead zombies everywhere. That's a really good indicator that either someone's here, and if you don't see them, they're hiding and they know you're there. Or maybe they were there, but they're just already long gone and the zombies are starting to despawn because it was already their time to go. So right here, I would loot the helicopter because this yellow case right here is a weapon attachment case, which could have an optic or a suppressor, something really good that could help you in PvP. In here is just going to be some ammo. Maybe I could have found more ammo for the FAL if I did take it, but I really didn't know that I was going to find more ammo here and I wasn't going to get into combat. And here's a booster. There's two boosters in this game. There's a stamina booster like this, which lasts for 2 minutes, and then there's the health booster, which I have right here. The health boosters are kind of self-explanatory. It gives you temporary bonus health depending on which one it is. I think this one does 20. And then there's a special item called the tonic, which I think gives you 40 or 50. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it also gives you a stamina booster effect like this for a lot longer. These are really good for combat. Not really the stamina booster. I would only use a stamina booster if, let's say, I'm getting shot at right here and I need to get out of the bridge area. I'm just going to start jumping like this because it makes me a lot harder to get shot at. With the health booster, I would take that if you're about to push someone and you know you're going to get shot at and probably take damage. That will save your life in more situations than not. Now, that's not to say that you need to start hoarding every single booster that you find, because these small boosters that I have currently, like this one, it's not really that good. It will at most block one shot from any weapon, or well, from most weapons. If it's a sniper, it's going to just punch through this. I just want to do that because you can't immediately put it on in the middle of combat. It does take some time, like the bandages and the med kits. I actually found a pretty rare bag in here. So in this crate, it has a military sea bag, which is actually one of the best bags in the game. Not because of just how it looks, it kind of just looks like a cylinder, but because of its capacity. So it has the max capacity, which gives me a lot more space to store all this stuff. So now that my inventory isn't just really clogged up, I'm actually going to move everything right here. And I'm going to try and just organize how I usually organize it. How I usually organize is that I have my medkits up here. So if I don't have my medkits in my hotbar, let's say, for example, for whatever reason, I can just immediately go into my inventory and just do that. It's really that snappy. You can organize your inventory however you want. I'm not trying to tell you how to do it. But what I will say is that you're going to really want to learn how to sort it out and just organize it better. Because if it's just all, like, if your stuff is all everywhere and you have weapons that are just kind of like this, you have your ammo sort of like this, you're going to lose a lot more space than you typically would have. Now that I'm at the highest point of this building, I can see just on the rooftop right here, and I do have a good sight of just this part right here that I was just at. I can basically see almost everyone besides if they're behind cover right there. I can actually see everyone on the road right here. If I go up this right here towards the helicopter, I can see everyone on this side, some parts on that side. It's going to sort of be like this in some locations where you're at the highest point of the building, sort of like a radio station. You can see a lot of places up there. Typically, I wouldn't go up to like the highest point of these locations because, like I said, at radio station, you're literally on top of a tower where anyone can shoot you at like any spot if they have sight of you. There's really no cover up there, so you will most likely die up there. At this spot, I would probably camp up here because there is some spots that I can't get shot at, like they can't go up this roof right here. This building isn't accessible, that building isn't either. The only way that someone below can shoot me is if I peek my head out right here and they're aiming at me already from down there. Like let's say someone's by that tree, they can easily pop me right there. Or if I'm not paying attention, they can go up the ladder right here for whatever reason. Maybe it takes like 10 seconds to go up there. I don't know how you would get caught by that. Or if they're just going up here and I'm missing all my shots on them as they're going up. If any of that happens, then I'm just kind of screwed in these situations. What I would do is I wouldn't camp at the same location for the entire encounter. Let's say, for example, I kill someone up here. Their entire team now knows I need to start running away because they will eventually start making their way up here. And if I give them too much prep time, let's say they have boosters or they all have automatics and they're going to melt me at the same time. But if I did run away, they're going to go up there, they're going to waste time trying to find me. I can maybe get to a better spot right here where, like I said, if they poke their head out from above, I can actually shoot them and get a second kill, and it can start spiraling out of control, and it's like kind of like a domino effect. Really, in these situations, you're going to want to play really smart. Boils down to more just who's playing more smart and who has the better positioning than whoever just aimed the most headshots. So here in Magnolia, this is the gun store. It can spawn a lot of weapons here and attachments right here in this case. If you're a new player and you don't really have that good guns and you make your way up here, first thing I would do is go over here and you can find something like maybe like a Garand, you can find an A2, you can find a Scorpion, I think that could spawn in one of the Soviet cases right here, if I can find it. Oh, okay. I generally want to go here first thing every time because these places aren't really guaranteed to give you the best items in the game. It's more like, hey, it's going to spawn this maybe just one time and then the other 3 times you're going to maybe just get dirt. Really, there's not really one singular location that you need to loot every single time. It's just more of you need to cycle through these to maybe just progressively get better loot over time. Now, surprisingly, there's no one here at Magnolia, so I'm going to take it as my cue to leave this place because there really isn't anything happening and I already looted all the major spots here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make my way to Casino because Casino is a secondary location here that can spawn good stuff, and I'm about to show you exactly. There's a special location there that can give you something really cool. So we're here at the Casino. You really wouldn't think that a casino would have pretty good weapons here or anything, but actually, rare event that I need on my main account. Hold on. Nope, didn't drop it for me. Anyways, you wouldn't really expect a casino to have good like weapon spawns or anything, but in here in the vault area, it does have weapon spawns in an attachment case right here again. It won't have like military weapons or anything for you, unfortunately, but you can at least find something that's better than nothing if you don't have anything and you make your way up here. There's also a other secret location up here which could give you a cool weapon if I can hardcore my way over to it real quick. And sometimes there's a special zombie that spawns in here, but he will have a weapon on him. I forgot which weapon it is. I think it's like a deagle or something. There could be like a weapon in this case right here. And here's a special part about Casino. So when you're here, there is a chance that in this particular slot machine, there's going to be an attachment for you. And it's going to be highlighted in green. It never changes right here. And if I zoom in and look, it has a folding grip, which increases my aim speed and moderately increases my hipfire accuracy. It's actually pretty good because I think it spawns pretty commonly. Not the attachment, the slot machine here that has the attachment. I haven't seen it where it doesn't spawn, but don't quote me on that. It probably is just more of a rare thing. I'm just finding it just out of coincidence. I didn't know that until recently. Casino is actually pretty good for the attachment, solely because of that. So if you start seeing a lot of people fight at Casino, it's probably because they just want that one attachment and they're really greedy for it. I think it could spawn the best attachment in the game, which to my knowledge is probably still the short grip, which the short grip, it reduces your recoil by a lot, and also I think increases your aim speed. So that is something that you're going to want to seek out if you do find it and learn the locations for it. So here we're outside the prison area. It doesn't really have that good weapons besides maybe the AC556, which is just an automatic primary, or a SPAS 12, but it does spawn some pretty cool stuff here. There are some special zombies there that can spawn a deagle, it can spawn a combat knife, I think an RPK, and the stunted AK-47, which is basically just a Draco. So there is some good stuff there. There is an incentive to go there for the special events. For just loot in general, maybe not, because the weapons there, they aren't really the best in the game. But instead, I'm going to go to Naval because there is fighting here, and I do kind of want to demonstrate like what happens if you get into a PvP situation that you just kind of stumble on, you're not really part of it, and maybe I'll die right here and demonstrate like what happens when you die. And also Naval is a pretty good location for military gear because it does have like the weapons like the M16s, M14s, maybe I think a FAL, just things like that. No Soviet weapons. So it does look like you can see his tracers. He's aiming at the top of the tower right here, so there's probably someone up there, and since they're up there, they can probably see me because they have line of sight of just every spot on the military base here. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go over there because I'm not going to really get a shot of them. Instead, I'm going to try and sneak my way over here while that guy's distracting them. So I'm doing this because I can get right there to that location because there is a hole in the wall, and I can maybe get a quick shot at one of them up there if they're peeking, or maybe I can kill that guy that's shooting the grain over there. But maybe not, because he's the one that's actually just keeping them at bay for me, and maybe he can kill one or two of them for me before I do go in and I do just do cleanup right there. That does sound pretty dangerous. I think that was an M40 that he has right there. It does look like there's 2 people. There's maybe one right there I think I saw. Yeah, right there. And then there's another with the sniper right there. I'm planning on maybe shooting that guy, but the Ventores doesn't really have that good velocity and I might miss, which I don't really want to happen. And the AKS doesn't really have that good range because it's a carbine, to my knowledge. Yeah, it's an assault carbine. So let's see what I can do right here. Oh, I did get him. That's kind of insane, actually. I didn't really expect that. But now that I killed him, his friend's going to know I'm right here. And it does sound like he has an A1 or an A2. I can't really distinguish what gun he has. But I'm actually going to swap out to the AKS because the AKS is my automatic. And it does excel at just close range right here. So he's right there. It doesn't seem like he's really going to notice me right here. I can maybe just jump on the wall and just shoot him. Actually, let's try that. See if I can parkour up here. Is he going to move? Nope, he moved. Okay, this is going to be pretty dangerous because he can easily shoot me just on the stairs right here. Let's see what happens. Oh, nope. He did get a shot on me. So you saw right there that he did get one shot on me and my booster protected me right there. I took maybe 1 damage, I believe that is. And he did have actually really good weapons. He did have an RPK and an A1, which I don't know why he didn't use RPK right there. He could easily kill me if he used it, but that's beside the point. I actually got a kill right there. I wasn't expecting to survive that, to be honest, but I did actually just win that, and I got a really good weapon. This is one of the better weapons in the game, the RPK. It doesn't look like he has much ammo in it, though, so maybe I shouldn't take it. Maybe I should, but let's see what this guy up here had. Oh, actually, they didn't kill that guy right there, so maybe I should be careful. Yeah, he does have a Grand. He can maybe easily shoot me right here. Yep, he might kill me, actually. Nope. I think he has the M21 DMR, which does have a built-in scope, so it might be better at range than mine, because the Ventores is a subsonic weapon. It doesn't really have the best velocity and damage. So he is just kind of head glitching right there. Maybe I could get him like this. Oh, he did booster. Can I get him? There we go. Alright, so we got everyone, hopefully. There's no one else lurking. So I'm just going to use my military mech here real quick to heal up. I'm actually going to move it right here, so then I can have room so I can actually swap out my AKS for the RPK. Because the RPK is, again, one of the better weapons in the game, and I could just put all my attachments on this. I can maybe reload it if this guy had any ammo. It doesn't seem like it. He had a little bit, so maybe I can just do that. Do this. There we go. And I'll probably just keep the AK mags right here just in case I need it. I mean the AKS, sorry. It is kind of confusing because there are like a bunch of AK different weapons here. We have the AS FAL, AK-47, and AKS. It will look kind of confusing at first because you think all of them can be used at the same time. But if you do hover over it, it will say which weapons you can use it on. Like it will say the AK-74 pattern rifles, AKS, and the AK-74 are the same sort of weapon class, or maybe family, I guess you could say, not really class. And they're also distinguished by their colors and model here, so you will see sort of that difference right here. So I did kill everyone here. There's nothing else for me, I'm going to assume, because they were already here and they were already looting everything. So I'm going to quickly make my way out of here so I don't get caught out by someone while I'm looting. I don't think I'm going to loot that guy because it didn't seem like he had anything good on him. He did use his booster, so unfortunately I won't be getting that booster. So let's just take that as my cue to leave and get out of here real quick. So now that I won those counters right there, since I'm low on ammo, I should probably start looking for places that do have these Soviet ammo spawns, which could be Mansion. I can, again, go to Mansion, or I can go to somewhere. I think there's Tango. It's not really noted on this map right here, but Tango is basically a crashed submarine on the beach right here next to Fairview. I could go there because it can spawn AK pattern weapons, but you kind of see where I'm going right here. This is kind of the cycle of the game where you kill people, you kind of run out of resources, you go find those resources again, and then you go back right into the fight. I think actually that's kind of the basics of the game. I'm actually kind of surprised I didn't die first thing when I enter that place, because that is kind of dangerous right there. Typically your encounters aren't going to be that easy. Sometimes it's going to be kind of potatoes like that where they're not really paying attention. Other times it's going to be 5-man sweats who've been playing this game since release when it was paid access. In that case, they're just going to have a learning experience when you do get into a game against them. I do think when you fight other people that are just way better than you, you will learn a few things from them. I definitely felt that when I first starting out, going back into APOC for the first time, I think a year or so ago. And I feel you probably feel the same way as well if you're a quick learner. This game is pretty hard, so don't get frustrated if you don't learn the basics to it pretty fast. It does take some time, and I will say you're probably not going to be kind of decent at the game until maybe the first couple times you do start dying, and then you do actually start living long enough to get the Magnolia and surviving your encounters there. Really, it just takes time and just patience, and it's like every other game. It's just this is more, I guess, the gap between being a solo player versus a team with 5 people. You can be just a random person and just start inviting a bunch of people here, but you're not going to really be coordinated, and they're likely going to be noobs who also don't really have that knowledge on the game. I suggest that this game is a lot more fun, and you're probably going to win a lot more encounters if you are playing with friends that also play this. I'm probably not going to do a tutorial on that, how to get friends, but you could probably just get that on yourself. But anyways, I think that I'll probably just end it right there because I did go over the basics right there, and I really did just get all the loot I needed. I got the best weapon in the game, maybe the best secondary in the game, a second primary right there. But yeah, maybe in the second video I'll go over the weapons or map or something. Hopefully you find this useful. If you have any suggestions for what else I can go over, let me know in the comments. Maybe you can give more advice to people if they're kind of struggling in the comments as well. Maybe you can find each other to team up and play this game. Anyways, that's going to be it for me. I'm going to end it right here, so I'll see you guys later in the next one.